Dave Clark just announced fairly abruptly that he's leaving Amazon after 23 years. He has been described as an absolutely integral member of the S team, knew the logistics and fulfillment center network better than anyone. Just announced he's going to be co-CEO of Flexport. What happened with Dave specifically, and were you surprised?
Well, I think different people want to do different jobs with different responsibilities at different times, and it's incredibly personal. And I think Dave wanted a different gig at this point, and I don't begrudge him at all. I mean, Dave has added so much to Amazon over the last 23 years, and particularly over the last 2.5 years, which have been among the most crazy in the history of Amazon. And I think that if you want to build a business that lasts 100+ years, and that lasts all of us, you have to get used to these sort of transitions and make sure that you're doing the right succession planning and you've got the right talent to keep building the business. And we've done that historically, and I expect we'll do it again.
Elon Musk just came out saying he has a super bad feeling about the economy. Tesla laying off 10% of his staff. Jamie Dimon says he's preparing for an economic hurricane. The World Bank just slashed its forecast for global growth. How do you feel about the economic climate?
Well, I wasn't planning on giving any guidance today.
Please.
But
super bad or super bad?
I think there's some things as it relates to Amazon that are useful to remember. I think the first piece is, remember that 85% of the worldwide retail market segment share is offline. And if you believe that that equation is going to flip at some point, which we do, I think it will flip over a long period of time. But if you believe that, the companies that have great customer experiences like we do, I think are gonna do all right. And great customer experiences mean you have really broad selection, low prices, and very fast delivery that's reliable to customers. I also think that if you look at different downturns, should we have one at some point? And we've been through a few, obviously, in the 25 years that I've been at Amazon. Customers change their habits. They tend to be pickier about what they buy and when they buy and who they buy from. And they often pick the partners and the companies that they trust, and that have great customer experiences, like the dimensions I mentioned earlier. And so, I also think there's, those two reasons, those two factors give me some optimism that even if we have a downturn, that we have the potential to still grow. I would say that regardless, though, we have so many things that we believe we can do better for customers. We have a roadmap that's, probably 3 to 5 years long, and we're going to continue to invent. We're going to continue to be insurgent, and we have a lot of work to do to get to where we think we ultimately can get for customers.
Everyone's very curious about Jeff's role these days, what kind of executive chair he really is. He said when he left that he'd focus his attention and energies on initiatives that he really cares about at Amazon, but from the outside it looks like he's really focusing on philanthropy, he's focusing on space. What kind of an executive chairman is he?
Well, Jeff is always going to be involved, and he has, I feel very lucky to have been at Amazon for 25 years. I feel very lucky to have worked directly for Jeff for 20 of them. And we have a really close relationship and have for a long time, and I think we share a lot of the same values about customers and how important it is to optimize for customers and how high standards they need to be, given how easy it is for people to switch and the importance of invention and speed. And so, I just feel very lucky to have had the chance to work so closely with him. We still talk all the time. It's very useful for me to be able to seek his counsel. He did the job for so long, and he's always made himself available.
So is your he was your only boss for 25 years, right?
20.
Is your relationship fundamentally different than it was when you were the head of
Yeah,
AWS?
of course. Every single job you have, the relationship's different. Remember the first couple of years I worked for Jeff, I worked as what we call his shadow then, which is really like a chief of staff. And that was different than when I was starting AWS, which was different from when we got AWS going, and it was a business that was starting to do well. And it's different when I'm in the CEO role. But the constant has always been that we have a great relationship and we collaborate really well. And I think that we listen to one another. And again, for me, to have the ability to bounce different things off of him and seek his counsel is very valuable.
And he's still focused on Amazon?
Yeah, he still is focused on Amazon, yeah.
Amazon is poised to become the biggest private sector employer in the world. Second only, right now Walmart is in that spot, but Amazon will probably soon surpass it. First vote to unionize at an Amazon warehouse. I know you've been spending a lot of time at warehouses. When you look at someone like Chris Smalls, who I think some people look at as this modern day hero who got fired, pulled off this union vote, what's your message to someone like him? Your message to the folks who think maybe we should join a union?
Well, I think that the first thing to be clear about is that employees get to make that choice, whether they want to have a union or not. They always have had that choice, and it continues to be their choice. And we happen to think they're better off without a union for a number of reasons, including the fact that it's much harder when you have a union to have a direct relationship with your manager and to get things done quickly. So if you see something on the line that you think could be better for your team or you or your customers, you can't just go to your manager and say, let's change this. There's a whole process in bureaucracy that you have to go through to be able to do that. And we get, when there's a union, we're going to get the feedback filtered by what the union decides is worth bringing up. And we'd much rather hear from every employee whatever is on their mind. And so, I think if you want to continue to have the structure that we've had for all this time, you have to have really competitive benefits. And then I think if you look at Amazon's, they're very unusual in this space. We championed the $15 minimum wage several years ago. The starting salary is now over $18 an hour, which is more than double the federal minimum wage. You get full health insurance and 401k and up to 20 weeks of parental leave. And if you want to get a college education, you haven't had one, we have a career choice program that lets our fulfillment center associates be able to do so. That is a very unusual and compelling set of benefits, and those were all accomplished without a union. So, I think that we realize that we have to continue to work on the relationship with our employees, and we need to continue to provide the right benefits, and we need to continue to work on safety, and that's our intention.